Get to know all your favorite VRChat DJs all in one place. This is VRCDJLIVE.
You know, one of the things that I keep forgetting to do when we first start VRCDJLIVE is actually go into the transitional slide that shows what you guys can actually see compared to a black screen that happens to be VRCDJLIVE. But welcome, everybody. Good to have you on a very, well, not a very late, but a much later normal schedule for VRCDJLIVE. My name is Rob Roman, and normally here on the channel, we talk a lot about the DJs in our community, as well as the many groups and everybody involved in all of that, dancing to VJs, to club owners, security, bouncers, and even the people that come to all the different shows to even begin with. But I feel like as we are getting close to Halloween, and we're also ramping up for a very large convention that you may have heard of, or you may not have heard of, depending on which type of communities you are a part of. But nevertheless, we've got two very special guests with us in the studios today. Joining me in studio, someone who's known on the internet specializing in horror narration videos, kind of been the forefront of the yearly HorrorCon VR, which obviously we're going to be talking a lot about, and has been defined online as the James Earl Jones of horror. How do you even start to begin?
I've never heard that.
Really?
No.
I had to scour the internet just to see all the funny things that people were saying about you, and that's what they were saying. So
no,
please.
I make people afraid using my mouth and throat. That's what I do. I've been doing it for 14 years.
That's a very special talent. Please welcome to the studios, Mr. CreepyPasta.
Thank you for having me on, man.
As well as we actually have a second seat today. It's not just one guest, but we're getting you double guests with you today, and also co-founder of HorrorCon. I was gonna say Halloween Horror Nights, but maybe in the future. HorrorCon VR
next year.
Yeah, he's gonna end up going there. Please give it up for GeneralDrowned, our second guest today. As we were talking about spooky stuff, and I mean, we kind of already had a thing about it in our schedules, and trying to get a better understanding of, okay, are we actually going to be having an event on Halloween? Halloween always happens to kind of scare us, no pun intended, the fact that it happens not on a weekend. Halloween's on a Thursday, I believe, this year. And we have been kind of discussing whether or not we wanted some sort of Halloween something on Thursday, but no, I think a matter of trick-or-treating is in order, or even celebrating this weekend full of the HorrorCon VR, really.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we very much, I think after the second year, we both made the executive decision to be like, HorrorCon can't be on Halloween anymore.
Yeah.
Because we want to actually do things with our families and hand out candy and stuff. And when we're running HorrorCon, we're in a call for about 12 to 14 hours a day.
Yep.
over the con days, just doing administrative stuff, making sure people get to panels and when they need to be up. So we were also I don't want to do anything on Halloween. I want Halloween to actually be able to be a day where we can celebrate Halloween and not be a day where we're both dead and trying to order chicken sandwiches at 4 a.m. Have you eaten today? Yeah.
No, usually the answer is no, I haven't eaten. Oh my God. I've been sitting here for the last 6 hours without any sort of meal. And it's just the thing is we do celebrate he makes his haunted house. I have candy to hand out because I live in your school. So I do have a lot of kid traffic that comes through. So I'm trying to hand out candy while we're running the event. And it's just I have to run here to there to here, back and forth. Anytime the doorbell rings or I hear a knock of little kids being they want their candy, I'm running my event. I gotta get out of here.
So you're saying that this has happened sometime around Halloween, right?
Oh yeah,
there was 1 year?
The first 2 years. Yeah, because we started this in 2020, and that one Halloween landed on a Saturday, I want to say. So we did the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the next year it ended up landing on the same time frame, Sunday, Friday, whatever it was. So we ended up doing it with Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And at that time, where we just had the same team that was all the founders, were 5 of us, we were very much for the third year, I don't want to do that again. I just do not want to do that on Halloween. So we actually, for some reason, I think we debated about that for a while. because we were like, I don't know, people want to do things on Halloween. They should be on a Halloween weekend. Until we eventually made a poll with like our HorrorCon community on our Discord. It was like, okay, who wants to do it when? And like very specifically, cannot be on Halloween. But we're like, when are we gonna do it? Because like it just becomes such a stress trying to do Halloween. Because like I do horror entertainment as well, like you said, I do like horror YouTube. So like I make people afraid on the internet with my mouth and throat. So I have to do work specifically for that. Like Jen said, I do a haunted house. And for the first 2 years, I couldn't do a haunted house anymore because it's just we had to work. When we were doing the haunted house like last year, that was me getting up at 7 a.m. and like building the entire house with the help of a couple of friends over here. Can't do that when I'm running the convention also. So like it's just bad timing to be able to do that on Halloween night, man. Like it's nice to be able to do that, to have friends in virtual reality and things like that, but I have to do real life things too. Jen can't throw his headset off every 10 minutes to go.
I'd hate to jump the gun, but like, have you already kind of considered what's going on this year for your house? Are you doing a house?
Oh yeah. We already got stuff built for I say built. We have a bunch of animatronics that we trade out clothes with every year. So I think this year we're doing a circus again. I don't know. You weren't here last year for that one, were you? You were in September?
No.
You came to visit or something?
Before that. Yeah. Before you started eating yourself up.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you haven't seen, but we have a bunch of. Last year I spent way too much money on animatronics. Yeah. So we make this haunted house. It's basically like 4 10 by 10 foot little tents. And they have all this like plastic sheeting and stuff, and then there's animatronic clowns we have inside of it, and me and a bunch of my friends dress up in like different costumes and stuff that are also inside of it. And about halfway through, there's like big full bars of candy, so kids go through it, they get the big candy.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that, if you do the big candy thing or just you know.
We do. Yeah, I have to be known as that house, man. It's all tax write-offs. I have to be known as that house.
So yeah, go ahead.
No, we do that. The big candy's there. If they're normally like younger kids or things that they don't want to go all the way through it, they want to go through it. Then my sister hands out candy in like front of the house. Also, it was like, yeah, you get like a little piece of candy, but if you go through, you get like the full bar of candy.
And that's really special too. I know somewhere down the line we're going to be talking about some of your favorite trick-or-treat times and horror times, even just regular Halloween traditions and stuff. We'll be talking a little bit later on in the interview about all that sort of stuff. But it's more thrilling to see that you set up this big intricate thing because normally people wait way too late. And it's almost just like Christmas time too, because like I've just been seeing such an influx of Spirit Halloween stuff, and like people will go there way too late to either get a mask or a cloth or something, and it's nice that you have it set up already, kind of a thing. You know, you've already kind of thought a little bit about it, but
I do plans, but I don't do building up on those things. But like, I mean, look, there's an advantage to it. Like, Jen, did you get your candy yet? Did you get the candy?
I already bought all my candy.
No, you didn't. Really?
Yeah.
You fool.
Why?
The later you go, the cheaper it is.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
That's it. Yeah, if you like go buy your candy on Halloween.
Is that really true?
It'll be like 50. Yeah, it's like 50% off if you buy it like Halloween night.
Oh,
not to mention like if you're not a child, just get your if you're like, I'm just gonna eat candy. Just go on November 1st, dude. You buy like a 400 count thing of candy for like $7.
I just wait for Black Friday because that's when my deals are at. You get like half up. I mean, who's buying candy on Black Friday? Yeah, just throw it in. I mean, you might as well saving the money on the TV. Get myself a candy. I'm the only guy that goes and buys candy on Black Friday.
Who's stocking that, dude? That's like a month and a half old at that point. What are you doing?
No, not just Halloween. No, just regular candy. I'm not. I mean,
for the candy corn.
I mean, unless they have some Halloween candy, then obviously I'm the fool for doing that. But
no, dude, you got to go collect Pokemon cards.
Oh.
You see the Halloween Pokemon? Do you not see those?
There's like Halloween Pokemon card sets. But I don't know too much about it to actually. And like, man, like that's a whole nother can of worms.
You don't have to. It's like Bitcoin. You just buy it.
Yeah, but like you got nerds that are like trying to collect Pokemon cards, and they're all like, oh, you could feel that they've been rattling around in the wrapper, and that somebody was like wringing it out or something. So I could, again, me being the feverish like collector, I'm like, oh, how many times have these cards been tossed around in my pillow sack while I'm running around getting candy?
Just buy them yourself when they're cheap. November 1st, dude.
I'm
70% off.
Yeah, I'm an adult. I think I can do it. Anyway, guys, for all of you that are in chat, you want to chime in, you're more than welcome to. Feel free to drop some questions in the chat, and you can talk about almost anything here. Obviously, these two guys aren't DJs, but we are going to be talking a lot about the HorrorCon VR Rave that's going to be happening Saturday night. Super important, especially if you're looking for stuff to do this weekend. But
absolutely,
as we
huge.
It is going to be a very huge thing. Of course,
you're the DJ that
I'm the guy.
You're the DJ I always lobby for, dude. Your Rob Roman's voice is like, I'll tell you, like, because Creepy is the DJ that always like, I guess, like, because she's not here this year.
Yeah, she's not
performing this year.
Yeah, she's not
that's
performing.
right. Yeah,
she's orchestrating everything.
She always orchestrated it. I think like our first year or something like that, we didn't do it, and then she popped in and she was like, "We can have it. We can do it. I could do it." And then she picks out DJs that are all fantastic. They're all wonderful. But like me and Jen are old.
Yeah.
And like I think like also the first year we did that, we're like so exhausted. We're like in calls, just sitting there like, kick that guy out. He's being a problem. Kick that guy out.
I mean, now you know how we feel, because it's like we have to perform and be in our best behavior, but then at the end, we're like Little John. You ever see Little John go up and perform? Like, he's probably sitting there with his kids for like a whole 2 hours, and he goes up and screams, "Turn down for what?" And then when he's done, he's just like, "Give me my pizza and go to bed. I'm ready to go to bed. Like, I'm done. I'm old." He's like 65 years old or something like that. Now you know how we feel.
I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. But also, we don't listen to like super hard like rave music. That was one of the things. So like when we started showing up to your shows, we were like, "This guy doesn't go hard. Get him." Let's go.
Love this.
He doesn't go hard.
I recognize. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's my guy right there.
Listen, I try to challenge myself, because it's just like when you give me an opportunity and you pit me up against some of those harder people, I'm just like, all right, I guess I'm gonna have to put on switch my hat backwards and try my best to do something spooky or something harder, I guess.
What are you talking about? You did Ghostbusters last year. I was in for it right there. I was like, cool. I'm just gonna, whatever set that he's put together, I'm just gonna keep it on my computer and play it every now and then.
Listen, I'm not saying that I heard "Feed My Frankenstein" by Alice Cooper today, and it got kind of inspired to do something. So you best believe, we're gonna be hearing some Alice Cooper on Saturday. But so kind of for the people that are in chat and the people that are going to be watching this on YouTube as the replay, tell us about Mr. CreepyPasta.
Go ahead, Jen.
I hate that guy. Blue head ass looking goggles.
What are the top 3 things that you hate about Mr. CreepyPasta?
He's blue. He's short.
What the hell?
He doesn't wear shoes.
Okay, yeah, that's true. I don't wear shoes. No, I've known Jen for, God, how long have I known you? Like 12 years?
12 years.
12 years, yeah. So like Jen's one of my best friends, like in real life. But also like, I guess we do a lot of projects on the side because we both like do a lot of things on the internet together. So Jen's known me for a really long time. This CreepyPasta is a thing that I do. I guess it's not really a person that I am, because like I've been doing this CreepyPasta for like 14 years. So like I've been telling scary stories online. That's what I do. Like free audiobooks, essentially free radio show you can listen to. It's a podcast. It's a YouTube channel. It's been going on for 14 years. In October, one of the big things I do is a 13-day countdown to Halloween. We're in day 10, day 9, day 10 right now, day 8. I don't remember. But that's one really big thing that I do. But like the person I am, like, I guess I have the name above me, Miss CreepyPasta. I'm Spike. We do a lot of stuff together that I guess kind of relates to horror, but like HorrorCon has been like one of the things that we've worked on over time. Another thing we did, Megabyte Games, was just something we started up this year, which I think is like probably the next iteration of what HorrorCon originally was. We spent so much time just getting into virtual reality to make HorrorCon what it is, because like we really wanted to bring like a horror audience from YouTube, from Spotify and things like that into virtual reality back in 2020 during the peak of the pandemic. We wanted to get them in a way for all of us to get back together again, to try something new. So we decided to do HorrorCon, but our interest in VR was like, God, we were messing around with it since what, like 2017 or something.
Yeah, it was real high. Like we were trying to figure out things about VR for a long time. Like we started looking into the SDK back in the day, SDK 2.0, trying to figure that out. He got really deep into coding during that time, so he was just like slowly building up that repertoire for the VR stuff. So it's just like getting to that point where we were comfortable to make worlds for HorrorCon. So that's how the first HorrorCon came to be.
Yeah, and well, I mean, more than that, we did the first HorrorCon, then we learned a lot and we hated it, and then we did the second HorrorCon, and then we learned a lot and we hated it. And we did the third HorrorCon, and we didn't learn anything.
I mean, it's kind of a labor of love. I mean, obviously, the more you do it, the more you'll get to know what you need to do and what you need to get.
Yeah, no, we definitely learned from it. We lost a lot of people along the way that like eventually moved on to bigger and better things for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And like by the third year of HorrorCon, we were exhausted because I think by the third year it was literally like me and him doing the development, and we had like some really bad life stuff take place then. So it was like him and we did the world in like 3 days before the con.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we were exhausted the entire time on the con. I wasn't even with my family. I was like 4 hours away, like just on my computer in an empty. And like I think after the third one, you and me were like, never again. I don't want to ever do this again. There's just nothing that I could do that makes me want to like ever want to touch this again. This is it. We don't have to tell them that this is it, but this is it.
So then what happened? Because obviously we're here.
Well, so what ended up happening was that we were talking about it in the back, just being like, hey, this is too exhausting. Like, it's just us now because we lost a lot of the people, like you were saying. And like, I was doing a lot of the 3D building in Blender, so I was like, man, I can do this kind of, but if we want this to be good, we have to get somebody else. And that wasn't really in the books at the time, so we were just kind of like, hey, we can't do this anymore. And he would talk about it to the close friends to us. So like they ended up telling somebody else who was part of a revival thing for their VRCon VRChat, which ended up being Project. The people behind Project learned about that we weren't able to continue doing HorrorCon, and they were like, hell no, you guys are not giving up on HorrorCon. You cannot give up on this shit. You guys, we will help you. We will absolutely come in to save you guys. Just tell us what we need to do. And then they did. They fucking blew it out of the water too. It's like they did amazing work, and they still do amazing work, and they're helping us this year as well. I was like, if it wasn't for them, oh man.
No, we were even like, I think you had said to them something that we both considered to be like, okay, they wouldn't want to do this anyway. Because like we were saying, like demanding basically, like, okay, we just want to be like figureheads. We just want to have an input on what's going to be there. You guys have to take care of like everything else. Because like we were saying, how much would we actually want to put in? Like, you guys have to take care of stuff because like we love this. We want to be able to be a part of our community and stuff, but this just becomes too much and it's too exhausting.
Yeah, how did that all come down? Did they reach out to you? Did you find them somewhere, or how did that all kind of?
Well, if you're familiar with Project or familiar with VRCon, Jose Kage, who worked with them, was also really close friends with us. So she spoke to them. She was the contact between us and, I guess, VRCon or Project, whatever they were at that time that was floating.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they eventually kind of broke into their own project community, then they reached out to us and they were like, hey, okay, so we want to do more than just our idea of project community. We want to make this a larger thing. So yeah, we want to help out with HorrorCon. And we gave them that really weird ultimatum that was basically like, we don't want to do almost anything at this point. Like, it's too stressful. We all have things to do in October. We can't just make a convention. Thinking that they wouldn't take it. Like, quite honestly, we're just like, yeah, we're kind of like, we're done. So unless you can do this, and they were like, yeah, okay.
So
Okay, yes.
So this must be a really big moment for you, especially because I would assume that if everything goes really well, I ain't gonna knock on any wood, because obviously it's gonna be successful. People have been wanting to be a part of this for a long time, and learning about all these newer opportunities and newer groups, like, you know, this thing could be so much more larger than you first originally realized, I suppose.
Yeah, it could be. Like, I mean, with Project's help, everything has grown up way bigger than we ever thought it could. Me and Jen come out of like internet horror. We don't technically come out of VR. We are part of VR groups, some VR groups, smaller groups, but we're not like social butterflies that are a part, like have our hands in everything. But when we partner with Project to put together HorrorCon, they know everyone. So now when we say, hey, we want to get like communities together, people who work on horror worlds, people that work on things, when it comes down to connecting VRChat with our outside community of horror, Project is just got their hands everywhere here. And when people from my podcast, people from other sections of online horror show up, they are seeing a whole new world of things. I think when me and Jen were doing this, we maybe got like an iceberg of that. We got some things. We got to introduce them to things like improv and stuff like that they've never seen in VR. But now when people show up, they're just seeing like full like role play communities that they've never heard of, they never would have thought existed. Like, these are people just coming from YouTube that probably only know of VRChat as like Uganda Knuckles stuff. That's it. Now they're seeing like, oh, there's like full raves in here. Like, there's actual like professional grade DJs. These aren't just people with a Spotify playlist playing over their mic. Like, this is good stuff. And that's well beyond what we had as a vision in the beginning. In the beginning, we were just talking about having some artists around. People could talk to artists, would be cool. But now it's just opening doors to worlds in virtual reality that just never thought was possible.
Isn't it so wild to just see it? And it's actually something that inspired me with VRCDJLIVE, just the fact that you do have all these people that are dedicated to promotions, dedicated to trying to make all of these dreams come true, and especially with the rave groups. And we want to do more conventions in here. We want to do more, not really family friendly, but more all immersive, without actually like traveling out of the state or spending tons of money for hotels and whatever. And it's so interesting to me to be able to talk to a lot of these people that not only spend a lot of their time to try to promote, but genuinely professionally want to make it a profession. They want to make it so they can promote almost anything, really.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the beauty of virtual reality to begin with. Like, when we talked about making a convention, because it was the first year, it was like a random joke on Twitter that I made about doing something in VR. And then like Sarah, Miss Mad Hat, was the one who messaged me and was like, hey, we could actually probably do that. So we had a couple meetings with promoter with some other like ideas and stuff about what we could do, and VR just always felt like such the best like avenue for it, because like, for instance, like the world we're in right now, you have a studio, right? You have a podcast studio, but like, you're not paying for the mic equipment. You're not paying for the rental space. You're not paying for the lighting. You're not paying for the electricity to run this place. There's so much that like you can do in virtual reality that feels reality enough to be real. But there's no overhead for it that makes this like easy to do. Like, when people come to HorrorCon, they don't have to buy a ticket. They don't have to find a parking space. Like you said, they don't have to rent a hotel. They don't have to ask like, hey Dad, can you drive me and like take off of work or during a lunch break and then take me over to the convention space and things like that, so I can go see Nick Nocturne at the convention, talk about ARGs and stuff. Like, you know, like there's a whole mess of like nuances that aren't there, and just makes it easy for people to get around. So yeah.
Maybe have both of you guys talk about your process. I know earlier we were discussing how you were reaching out to some other horror IPs or horror groups that were interested in coming to HorrorCon VR or being in virtual reality for the convention and stuff? What's that process been like, especially because I feel like the people in VR have an expectation of what they want to see, but the people outside of VR doesn't really know that VR exists and all the different avenues that could potentially. You want to take that, General?
Yeah. So a lot of that process is just me and Spike spitballing, but like, hey, could we potentially bring somebody in from like the horror community, like say Autumn Ivy or Nick Nocturne or Gas Station Jack, and be like, hey, there's this opportunity for us, especially like in the second year is when we started bringing like Sam, what was it, Sam Hughes and then Gas Station Jack and all the people from like the Snake's Paw podcast, and bringing them in, but giving them an opportunity to share their creations in a whole new environment. And it was like they took to it really well too. It's like they loved it. They love seeing everybody here, having like a visual of all the people that gathered around and just seeing all that stuff. And a lot of that process is just like, again, like just me and Spike spitballing, like, could we bring in these narrators? Could we bring in these people that we know? We'll ask them, see if they can have an availability. It's like, because again, like, we're horror creators, they're horror creators, they're going to be busy in October. Trying to get them as soon as possible is like the major thing. So it's just with the connections of people outside of VR, it's just, can you do this? And if you do want to do it, we'll walk you through how to use VRChat, because a lot of those people never touched VRChat. They didn't have no idea what it was. Some of them were asking, hey, could I use this on my phone? At the time, that wasn't a thing. Yeah. At the time, it wasn't. Now you can, but I wouldn't, just for this anyways. But it's one of those crazy things, just like pulling them out from their norm and bringing them into here and just showing them everything that they could do, and then they'll want more of it, and they'll do more of it, and they'll tell other people about it, and then that's how we start getting more and more of creators, narrators, and artists and writers. Like especially artists, like a lot of artists didn't really think about this as an avenue to show their things, and then that's how we met a bunch of cool people. Like we met Reslin, we met like Pinky Draws, Pinky Brains, and Pink Enigma Art. A lot of those people who just didn't see this as like an avenue to throw up a booth, and it's like they've never had that opportunity to have a booth at a real con before, like an IRL con. And they'll be able to do that here, and then they'd be like, this was great, this was amazing for me, they did wonders. I know, like, they were telling us, especially the first 2-3 years, when we had a smaller base, they would just tell us, hey, this was still amazing for me. Like, even with like the people around, I was able to communicate, like make connections and tell them, and like this increased my sales for these things. I was able to sell these stickers and these posters. It was great for me. It was like, that's awesome, that's amazing, I love it. Will you be back next year? We can guarantee you a booth. Absolutely. And then it's just, that's how we find people. Is like, we want them to come back. Absolutely. Every year, come on down. Love having you guys.
Yeah, I think that was like one of the main things about year one too, was trying to get artists to have something, because like peak of pandemic, there were some conventions, but they were like Skype, like kind of like hosted things. So like they didn't really get a lot of face time with anyone. Nobody really wanted to like go on to a Skype call to talk to people like that one. Doing this actually felt like doing a real convention for them, and a lot of them I know, like, they make their living off of doing conventions. So that was like a really bad year for a lot of people. Yeah. This was really good. But being able to see them get like VR headsets after that, because they were like, oh yeah, I could be a part of this, and then log in on their PC or something, and then see like everybody walking around talking to each other, moving their hands around and stuff. Like, I know that got people buying a lot of headsets. Yeah. They got like a bunch of old people even buying a lot. Because a lot of our authors are like, I don't want to say old. They're not old. They're old like we're old. But
we're old.
Yeah, we're old.
we're old.
But they got them wanting to buy VR headsets because it was just such a different experience for them, being able to come out here, see other things. And like the first year we had a lot of people doing Discord calls for their panels. But in the second year, well, like we offered it as an option, but like they were like, I want to be in VR. like I see everybody else who was doing these things. They were talking with all these people in VR. I want to be over there and actually talk to them and not just have to like see their text.
I think
like,
that was one of the funniest things about, like, I think it was 2 years ago when I came in to come to the show. Even for me, who has full body, you know, seeing someone on desktop who's just static and standing there, I have to keep reminding myself that's a real person, not just an NPC. You know, and a lot of the other area conventions, they have like either NPC or someone who's real. But it's so thrilling to come to your show and actually be able to talk to those people. And I think likewise too, for those people to come in and experience VR for the first time, to get those opportunities to be like, oh, I could talk to almost anybody around the world.
Yeah. I think that's a big, like I said, like people come off of like YouTube and stuff. There's a big misunderstanding about what virtual reality is and what virtual reality can be used for. I think this is getting rid of that stigma of like, oh yeah, I tried one of those with my phone, to like seeing what virtual reality is now has been like a really big point of doing HorrorCon for us, because like I said, old people our age old just kind of like view it as like, yeah, it's a neat gimmick that I guess kids get those things and they play around with them, and then coming over to see that like an actual professional like setting for them like exists has been kind of amazing for them. Like a lot of my like friends or coworkers and things like that I have that work in horror, just we're really blown away when they come into HorrorCon for the first time.
So obviously, here's the $1 million question: what do you guys do to sell the VR chat experience for them? Really?
Oh God, show it to them at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of just like show and tell. I'll be like, I know, like bringing in Gas Station Jack for an instance, just showing them like the environment, the world, and all the people there. It's like, this is just like a very small tidbit of like what you can do with VR. Like this is like just scratching the surface, and then you can just show them the menu and be like, there's thousands of these. There's thousands of these community created places that range in like playability, scare, all that stuff. There's so much to see and experience, and it just gets better. It just keeps continuing to grow. It continues to become a changing experience. On top of like VR technology getting better, like I mean, when we started, we only had HTC Vives. You know, we had the wands, so we couldn't do stuff like this.
And affordable too, because we spent a lot of money on our HTCs when we first got those.
And it's like, and then the only reason I even upgraded to Index was because my HTC just died. It got the snow, and it just wasn't repairable at that point. Like it wasn't. You
didn't even go for like the extra. Yeah, I was gonna say you didn't even go for the extra wire.
No, it was the port for that that got messed up. So okay. So I was like, well, this is dead. So I was like,
you all did that too. Like mine died first, and I was like, I'm so excited. I'm gonna upgrade my thing. And you and our other friend Audionic Matt were just so dead set on like, I'm never getting rid of this thing until it's dead. And then like 2 months later, it dies.
It's dead. Oh God!
God, it's dead.
So what's the kind of turnaround for those people that come in thinking like, oh, we're the big booby chicks? How do I become a big booby chick? Right? You have to at least have a couple of those stories, right?
Absolutely. Usually when they walk in, they'll see somebody who's like, man, how do I get a fat rack like that? Like, all right, man, go through this portal.
We'll see you in 2 hours, kind of a thing.
Go have fun, come back.
No, every year, last year included too, I've not seen so much like people finding big booby avatars as everybody zones in on one really cursed avatar, and then everybody wants to wear that one for some reason. Like it was the little Asian kid with a cat was one year.
The 3D scan of the kid with the cat, and the cat talking.
Oh yeah,
and then it barfs the rainbow.
What was the other? I know, like the stick bug was one year.
That was the first year.
That was the first year. The stick bug.
And then the first and second year was the VTuber cat dog, where it was just the
that's right.
Yeah.
Run around.
Then everybody breaking the neck and doing a flip with it.
Now, it might be a little too late for it, but I mean, have you guys considered maybe having you have your mascot of the skeleton with the VR headset on, but have you ever considered making like a small lolly version of it or something? Or
We've never done that. I don't know. We've never had like an idea to do like a Lily avatar.
No,
We've had like last year.
We had an award for going through the horror world. That
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
a small avatar. So there was that one, which I might have, but I don't.
Was it a Lily
yeah,
avatar?
yeah. It was like a small ghost, like a
Oh.
little girl whose name I can't remember.
Oh, ghosts would
I
be
don't
kind of neat. Yeah, like a little
It was
public ghost.
Jose voiced that one.
Yes.
Yeah,
I remember that.
So,
So-
Scion's World.
One thing that we wanted to do every year with HorrorCon as well, that I thought was really neat to do, because at real life horror conventions, they normally do this, and it's something that's pretty unique to just horror conventions. Normally, for horror cons in real life, a lot of people from trade parts of like professional horror and haunted houses usually come together to show off a lot of their product and stuff inside of a haunted house you can just walk through. It doesn't necessarily have to be big, it doesn't have to be like fantastic, but it's like a small horror experience that you can walk through that's a kind of scare zone. And then you kind of see a lot of stuff. You're like, oh God, what was that mask come from? Oh, that came from this booth, and you can kind of go see it. So one thing I wanted to have included, and we've done it ever since the first year of HorrorCon, is that we always have a small scare zone that is incorporated with the convention space. So like the first year we had some really rudimentary small things with like mannequins and a little scavenger hunt to do. And then the second year we got a hold of Official Seon, who did like the first like really professional, like far more story driven map than we were expecting him to do. I was like, just put in a little scare zone thing. I didn't know you were doing that. And then like afterward, I think the third one didn't really have much. It was like a little room with a candle. Last year's we had, was it Seon was back again last year?
Seon was back.
Yeah, Seon came back again last year. This year, I know we have something, and I'm not going to mention it.
Yeah, we cannot talk about it.
Yeah,
but there
I'm going
will
to talk
be,
about it.
there
But
will
there is
be
a
a
thing
horror
this year too.
experience.
Yeah, there is a
so
horror
if
experience this year.
If you're looking forward to having the shit scared out of you, look forward to the new
Yes.
horror experience.
But there is a horror experience this year as well. And I really like the idea of it too, of getting other creators to be able to do it. And I like that was a thing we did this year too. We branched out to somebody new who's doing a little tie-in horror experience along with us. So it's not Seon this year. But I appreciate the worlds that Seon had done before. They were both two very different experiences he put together for us, but I'm glad we got somebody else to be able to work on a new horror experience as well. And I think in like the world itself, we have like a little bit of like a couple of scares here and there that actually come from the project staff. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Kind of getting
Personally.
on with the fact of so many people in virtual reality are looking for some scary stuff, some horror stuff, and the fact that we're old, we've been in here for a while, but the lineage of all the different horror maps and worlds that you could have been to. Do you find that there's not a shortage of any sort of creativity when it comes to making stuff? Obviously you're looking for more people to make more spookier things, but
Yeah.
do you find that the concepts are kind of the same, or do you just find that there's a little bit more of a calling for people that want to make stuff like that in the future?
I quite honestly, like this past year, I haven't been in VR very much. We used to do a lot of horror stuff before, like in VRChat, but I'm trying to think. I think there's been a relative amount of variety. I'm just boring, and I keep going back to the same places.
Well, when it comes to stuff like that, because I still try to jump around here and there. Like not much this year, like because like Spookality has a promotion where they like have people make new horror worlds and all that stuff. So there's quite a bit right now. Like you can check out. A lot of them are multiplayer experiences, which is kind of like I guess what they were focusing on. So there's things like the jars, ghost catchers, and like a bunch of stuff like that. Previously from before, there was a lot of creativity from what I saw that were like very unique experiences, and you're like, this person's finally doing something that's different than what the other people are like. I can't quite remember the name of the world, but there was do you remember the world where you would enter a room and it would be just a single mirror, and then you would have a bed set, and there you would have to start figuring out what to do in there, and then it would start changing through
somewhere. It is like 18 hours long.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of that world.
Yeah,
that
it was like
such a good one,
like a white world, and it just would change things for the individual person for how long they've been there, and it would just
we debated doing that, doing meet up with our community one time and just not say a word to them and just bring them there and just sit silently for hours to watch them freak out about stuff. I don't remember that world. I gotta find it again though.
It was great.
That was a good one.
I like
that one did a great job with doing this very uncomfortable, unsettling atmosphere. That was a really good world. And
there's still like newer things like Terrors of Nowhere, like they're again multiplayer experience. Absolutely fun experience with a bunch of different horror genres, a lot of different horror mascots that you've seen or are familiar with. It was like super cool. And nobody has done this yet, and it's really cool to see inside of VRChat. And then there's also the single player experiences, which there actually I think is 1 or 2 from Spookality, which I saw. Absolutely fucking cool. There's so much creativity, especially in VR, and there's so much variability that you can still do. And I would love to see more from people to see what they can create. So absolutely, I would continue to say.
There was a couple of worlds I remember that were very story driven. There was that story driven world I know that Seon put together that was really great. Took place all in one house, which I'm impressed with. That was just a full video game that you could do. And there was that one noir world we went to that my brain. That, oh my god, they did amazing stuff with shaders and that incredibly visceral feel of fear when you see those giant robots with the spotlights on them. It did a great job with those. There's been some really good experiences too. I know that getting people into VR, getting creators into VR from YouTube, I'm not too sure if I've seen stuff that directly translates from HorrorCon to VR, but I know that this definitely translated over to people wanting to not necessarily create, but they definitely wanted to experience things. That was a big thing for our community in HorrorCon for a couple of years, who was trying to get everybody to meet up so that we can experience horror worlds together or go through horror mazes or things like that, because everybody was interested in doing it. They absolutely were interested in doing it together.
I know one of the things that we love to talk about here on VRCDJLIVE is the fact of someone taking their passions in VRChat and going from a hobbyist to someone more professional, doing stuff, trying to make money off of it, trying to create their own brand with it. Where do you guys see the next couple of years with the aid of HorrorCon VR, the fact that you do have a lot of these map makers and they are building in VR, and while that's great, do you think that somewhere down the line, where would they be going in the future as far as gaining money or professionalism down the road?
So Megabyte Games.
So if they're anything,
I was gonna say that would probably be a really good promotion for you guys, right?
If they're anything like us, they'll take the indie game dev route and build what they love to make, but also be able to profit off of it and just throw it out into the world. It's that's what, again, the first 2-3 worlds, I was doing a lot of the Blender stuff for it, so I just took that stuff and moved it over there. So that's what that ended up happening. So hopefully, if people are doing the same thing, they're making creations here, they're still doing their coding and everything in Unity, you can absolutely translate that to either just more Unity-based games or to Godot or Game Maker or something. You absolutely have that opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
So this is something within a side project you guys really want to start to kind of piece together and try to bring on some, maybe not hobbyists, but people that have passion, just like you guys, to probably make some products, right? Is that what's going on here?
Oh, yeah. Like you were saying, I got into coding more than the Blender side of things, but the VRChat SDK is what taught me C#. Using C# for coding and stuff like that, I didn't know it. Moving from 2.0 to 3.0 and now using Udon, which is just C#. That was just, I had to learn how to do it for making worlds in VRChat. Eventually, now I use it for coding in Godot, which is Megabyte Games is literally the indie stuff that we make. We've made 3 games so far, and 2 of them are real good.
Whoa. Not wrong, but damn.
But no, we started doing things like that. I honestly kind of view that as what everybody who makes worlds in VRChat probably is working towards. Is they want to be able to. You've cultivated this skill to be able to make experiences in virtual reality, and I'd love to see that translated to making full games on your own in virtual reality. But you've cultivated a skill of basically learning game development already from beginning to end in virtual space. You're learning optimization in virtual space. You're learning coding. You're learning Blender. You're learning like all these creative things that just go right into the independent game development field. And like moving from that to a professional field is like perfect. I mean, we were mentioning Sarah, Miss Mad Hat, used to do stuff for us, like organization for HorrorCon, and that's what she does now. But she does it for a game studio.
Yeah.
Like so,
big things.
Yeah, it's just a skill to translate it, because that's just what she's good at. Like if I had her organizational brain, my house would be clean. Like I can't think in the way that she does, but she has like such an organized mind, such an organized like way of doing her work, and like that kept us on point for HorrorCon, even like to the point where for the years after she left, we were using her templates that she gave us on how to keep things going, because she knew that like we're not nearly as schedule minded as she is.
Yeah, we're big dumb.
Big dumb, yeah.
I mean, you guys have skills and where that needs to be happening. The other skills can wait, I suppose. But we're sitting here on VRCDJLIVE with Mr. CreepyPasta and GeneralDrowned of HorrorCon VR. For those people that are interested in joining in on HorrorCon VR's festivities, because it's all happening on Saturday and Sunday. It will be happening in virtual reality, and you can also join the Discord that's attached to the overlay on the screen. So please go check them out for all the different activities and the list of activities. I know that's up on Twitter, and I would assume Sky Blue as well, seeing that we're kind of going back and forth with that. $1 million question for you guys: how does one get into the be able to work in spooky? How do you work in horror? How does one get into horror? I guess is a good way of saying it.
I have a good throat.
Have a good throat.
Mm-hmm. Be a throat goat.
Dude, I don't fucking know. I've worked in it for 14 years by accident.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how did you slip into the role that you are now? I mean, you're gonna be going back a couple of years to think about it, but
I don't know. 14 years ago, I was in college. I had an interest in 1940s, 30s radio, and my girlfriend at the time was super into horror. I was into horror. So we hit rocky points, and I was like, I want to do something she thinks is neat. And I made a YouTube videos, and this was like well before like YouTube stars or even YouTube jobs was really a thing. So like she kind of saw it, and she's like, this really sucks. It's like, cool. So we broke up, and then I was real depressed, and I went on to YouTube and saw people were liking the videos, and I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'll keep doing this because like it makes other people happy. So I kept doing it, and then after I guess 2 years of doing it, or about a year, maybe 2 years, I met a bunch of people who were also doing voice stuff, and I met a bunch of artists on Tumblr, and the artists were doing artwork from creepypastas, doing like horror art and stuff like that, and I got to be pretty good friends with them. And one of them was this artist name I had as Blue, and Blue would just, for some reason, entertain my weird ideas I would just throw at her whenever she was live streaming. And so we became friends. We started talking on Skype, and then she pulled me into a call at one point when we were watching Video Game Awards or E3 or something, and he was there. Because she's like, yeah, this is my best friend. You should meet my best friend Jen. And then we watched E3 videos about video games that were coming out, and everybody talked shit about them. And then I never left that call. No, we got really big into the secret world.
The secret world.
That's what happened.
Yeah. Because so like after that call, I was like, he just was like playing the secret world because he gets a game. He's like, you know what? If other people can get this, I'll be able to play it a lot longer. So he just like threw it to Blue, and Blue was like, all right, Jen gets this too. Jen can get it. And then we were all playing together for a little while, and it's like, all right, they're all logging off. I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have a job yet. I'm not quite in college yet. I guess I'll keep playing. And then they wake up to me having played it all night and found every piece of lore in the game which is a collectible in the game. And then they wake up and was like, "You still playing?" I was like, "Yeah, I found all the lore."
You were in college at the time, weren't you? You were just like, "Oh
I was between classes."
So do you think that even a love for like horror films, or because I feel like it's super, I don't want to say super sus, but like if you go on the internet and you see a guy who's trying voice acting for the first time and they automatically put on the like, oh, I've got the low voice and I'm super scary and blah 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 blah. Do you find that kind of annoying later on down the road, or?
No, I don't think so. Quite honestly, like, so we were talking about like, oh yeah, the Secret World. The Secret World is like hard to find now. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was a very big like Lovecraftian horror MMO is what it was. And we were all interested in the same thing. We were all interested in horror. So yeah, having an interest in horror is definitely a big deal. But like, I always say this one thing, like people want to get involved with like voice acting. Everybody's voice is unique. Like nobody else sounds like you sound. Like Rob, you sound very much like you work on radio.
I mean, that's 10 years of working in radio, yeah.
You have the voice and cadence for somebody who sounds like they work on radio, but there's nobody who sounds like you. There's not another Rob Roman's voice. That's why your moniker, Rob Roman's voice, is who you are. Nobody else will be another Rob Roman's voice, you know? And like somebody else who wants to do the deep voice, like you see on VRChat all the time, like somebody who wants to do the corpse husband voice. Like, oh, it's my corpse husband voice. Like, I mean, that's fine. If you want to do that, dude, that's the person that you want to be, that's fine. But, like, no, like, do it your voice and being the characters that you play, being the person that you are. The first character that you develop whenever you're doing any kind of acting and voice acting is going to be yourself. It's going to be your natural voice. So, I mean, like, is it annoying? Like, I guess in a way, yeah. But, like, it's not really doing you any favors. You want to get involved in doing voice acting and stuff. Your first character that you develop is your natural voice.
You agree?
Pretty much just be true to yourself. Be like, just try not, like, it's fine. Like he's mentioned, like people do the fake corpse husband's voice all the time. And it's just, they're trying to get their footing into something. It's like, I get it. They're trying. It'll bring in people here and there, but like they'll end up doing better if they just find their voice, they find who they want to be. Is like it'll be, especially for narrations, like a few years ago when it was like flooding YouTube for a little bit, there was like you see a lot of the same people, but like they've changed. They'll keep developing, especially if they actually enjoy their work, they'll become themselves, you know. So that's really what it is when it comes to that, at least that aspect of horror.
Yeah, I'll say this too, doing the corpse husband voice for Corpse, that is his natural voice. That's just what he sounds like. Perfect. So even him doing a corpse husband voice is just him.
I'm also not saying that you need to like go and smoke 1,000 cigarettes to get that raspiness of whatever. No. That's not a very good way of doing that at all as well. But even more important of a question, I know we were kind of talking about Halloween Horror Nights. I ended up going with my roommate with Halloween Horror Nights this past year. Yeah, such a great time. But I was explaining to him how, like, even when Halloween Horror Nights is over, that team is still building into the new year and they're working year round. So how does a seasoned vet at making creepypastas and stuff deal with Halloween year round?
Well, I get burned out, and then I smoke a lot of cigarettes.
So you're doing everything that I said that you shouldn't do.
No, there's a big thing about it. Like, so like everybody thinks like, oh, Halloween's over, then there's like no really more to do. But no, you'd be surprised. Christmas is a really big time for horror. People like the antithesis of being super cheery, which is fine. It's whatever. I love Christmas for what it is. But like Christmas is a really big time for horror. Winter is a really big time for moving into the new year. I mean, horror is a big thing all around. Like, you get new horror video games all times of the year, not just in October. You want to, like, try playing any... Dude, check, like, the front page of itch.io, dude. It's like, every single day, there's a new horror video game that launches. There's, like, a whole featured section just for indie horror, like, on there. There's a reason, like, you check Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus at this point, and they have their own dedicated horror section. It's just because horror is just big. And I mean, like, I'm a fan of horror when it comes around. We'll play horror games. We'll watch horror movies and things like that. It doesn't have to be October. Although we definitely ramp up how much we see in October.
It's an intensity level.
Yeah. Like, what is it? We went through a phase where we played nothing but like Phasmophobia clones.
Yeah.
It's still a pretty fun game. I mean, you're still looking for ghosts and stuff.
Oh no!
Is there something
clones.
different? Clones.
Clones of Phasmophobia, not Phasmophobia.
Yeah.
We played games that were like Phasmophobia, way worse.
Okay, all right.
Not always way worse.
Not always way worse.
Not always. Like again, it's the finding your own voice thing. You pick up the idea, the scheme, the layout. Like you figure out, like, hey, this is what people are really into. And again, you'll see this happen anytime a really popular horror game comes out, or even just a really popular game comes out. Is that they'll pick up the idea of that and then they'll twist it, or they'll turn it, or the ones that just directly clone it, and you're like, hey, this is just that game again, but it's with worse assets. I'm not going to play that one. I'm going to play the good one. And then you'll see things like, let's say, so like Lethal Company came out, and Lethal Company was extremely popular. It was made by one dev, and they did an amazing job. A bunch of clones came out, and it's like, you don't remember any of the bad ones. There's still good ones out there. It's like, oh shit, I don't fully remember. It's something's delivery service. And Pilgrim is also really good. It's the one that the Trina got us into. It's a medieval version of that, and it's very cool. It has its own ideas when it comes down to player experience, and it's stuff like you can use the same idea as long as you change it. But like, again, like when we were playing the Phasmophobia ones, there's usually bad. And then we find the good ones like Forewarned, that was really good. Devour was really good. Like
Devour was really good. Yeah, Devour was really good. I was gonna say also we went through a phase where we played Backrooms games and Backrooms games clones, which were also most of the time really bad, but sometimes really good.
Yeah, but some of those games too that you kind of need to go through so you can see what's bad, so that way you don't kind of trip up and make those mistakes later. But even something bad like that could potentially be good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, yeah. When it comes on the games, because like I'll talk about our games. If Jen won't do it, I'll talk about our good games. Midnight Myths is a game that we released. It's the first game we released, and I'll say right now, Midnight Myths is basically Slender. Not the Arrival. The original Slender.
8 pages.
8 pages. Because that's the design we gave it. Was just Slender 8 pages. We wanted to be able to design a monster that can chase you, have multiple monsters, have multiple sets of lore, and have it as a scary experience. That was literally like everything that came down to it. But we tried to learn from what made Slender good and create a idea of a game that took only the good parts and then allowed us to make it our own. So we used cryptids specifically. The cryptids' behaviors and sounds are all based off of what they would have been in real life, but the gameplay elements we took were what we think made Slender a good game or made Slender a scary game. So we took things like that. So yeah, I mean, like, playing the bad, you're right. Playing the bad ones definitely do help out to know, like, where did it trip up and where did it go wrong, versus like playing only the good ones. Because we're old. I remember the Slender clones when like 40 Slender games came out at once back in like 2013, then 14, and then like 3 of them were good. Yeah. Slender the Arrival still good.
Yeah, and then you just get a bunch of asset dumps that just were like, hey, this is kind of like the game you want to play, but it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, sometimes Midnight Myths too. It's a game you want to play, but it's cheaper.
Sometimes you go to like some strange games and you enjoy them. And I know Lethal Company wasn't really a game that I enjoyed. I liked watching it more than playing it, but at the same time, I'm not very good at video games to begin with. But enough about me.
What are you talking about? We played Fortnite together.
Yeah, I was watching you play a little bit of Fortnite before stream.
No, you weren't. Was I streaming? I wasn't.
What was I doing earlier? Anyway, this is a live program. We got a bunch of people in chat that got a bunch of questions for you, obviously, as well. I know one of the first questions that we're gonna kind of feed into, and then we're gonna get back into the important questions for you guys. Is favorite Halloween song? Do you have one? Favorite spooky song? No.
The Monster Mash.
Oh,
It's a classic, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a Halloween song, but people think it's a Halloween song. It's a mystery.
The little ghost.
The little ghost. Technically, it's a Christmas song.
No, what? It's not Christmas.
It was made for a Christmas indie game.
How is it Christmas related?
And they just put a little ghost on the OST and just called "It's a Mystery," and that was it. Good.
Yeah, now you know. So there you go, right?
Fun facts. There you go.
I guess for both of you, your favorite creepypasta, seeing that Mr. Creepypasta is here.
Oh god.
I know you get that all the time, but
I know Jen's.
It's true. He knows mine's.
I know his. He loves Ben Drowned.
No.
What? That is it. Your name's GeneralDrowned.
Yeah, this was a combination of my when I was an artist and then my Steam name, so it's GeneralDrowned.
Your Steam name is Drowned because of Ben Drowned.
Yeah, but that's not because but I was super into that, but that isn't my favorite, not by a long shot.
no, you heard it. You heard it first.
Gaslight me.
VRCDJLIVE. You heard it first. What a shocker! What a fucking shocker! Oh my gosh!
Years of friendship gone. I thought I knew you. What is yours, Jen?
Big surprise. It's Pen Pals. That was my absolute favorite story. Like that. It's it's old and it's a book now. It's been a book for a while now, but
the book is so much better than the online post.
Yeah, and the
it's very
book's
good.
Amazing. Yeah.
You've never mentioned that ever.
What?
You've never mentioned that Pen Pal's your favorite.
It absolutely is. It's by far extremely intriguing, sad story, and it gets you. It gets you good. If you haven't heard Pen Pals, check it out. He did a revamp of it. What?
It was a couple of years ago. Like 2 years ago.
Yeah. So
you want to know? You want to know a weird inconsistency that like I've been told about with Pen Pal that's going to ruin the whole story for you?
No. Don't you do this to me.
So in Pen Pal, there's this whole bit where it's told in multiple points throughout the main character's life. So when he was a kid, he has a best friend, and then he has like a falling out with his best friend, and he never sees him anymore. And then as he gets older, I think he attempts to make contact with his best friend again, and instead he ends up getting hold of his best friend's sister. And a whole relationship kind of blooms with him and his best friend's sister until eventually she is hit by a car and, like, spoiler, she is hit by a car and is killed. And it traumatizes him very, very badly, right?
Inevitable.
And then the major spoiler is at the end of the book, he discovers that, like, his best friend that he had a falling out with him when he was younger. He wants to reconnect with him, but he can't because that kid's dead. The stalker that he's had his entire life kidnapped his best friend as a child, had him like dress up essentially like with a wig and everything like the main character, and buried themselves alive, like in an embrace. So he died like that. And he's been dead for like decades at that point.
Whoa.
Well, if her brother had died or gone missing, she never mentions this despite being in a relationship with the main character. Like at no point does she ever bring up, yeah, my brother went missing, or yeah, my brother had died, or things like that. During their entire relationship they have in the book.
I sense some easiness.
Oh, I mean,
or uneasiness.
Like, you're not gonna open up with it.
I mean,
like,
I wouldn't know about you to open up with it, but like, hey, yeah, the best friend that you had, you know, the one that you're contacting me for. Yeah, he's not around. He hasn't been around in a little bit.
It's also it still would be hard to bring up anyways. This would be like,
no, it was, yeah.
Yeah, it would be like,
but it was an inconsistency that was like, he was supposed to be a teenager. Like, this is like 10 years after he had a falling out with his friend, so he should have been gone for 10 years.
Yeah.
But like, his sister's like, yeah, we could date. I'm not going to
Look,
talk about him though.
life moves on.
Life moves on.
Life
I don't
moves
know
on.
if she moved on past the death of her sibling, but
Fuck. Shit. Oh, you know what? Let me die. I'll die too. Fuck it. God, I can't have shit in this house.
It was just no. It was another author had just like read the novel and he asked me about that, and I was like, I had nothing to say about it because like I had also got stuff very recently. I was just like, I guess I never thought about it. Those are like chapters apart, so it never really occurred in my brain that those should have been related.
I guess his favorite's Jeff the Killer.
Yeah?
No, that's not true. That's absolutely wrong.
I thought you guys were best friends for many years. What happened?
Because he's fucking with me. You gaslighting son of a bitch.
He loves him. He does a sick skateboard trick over some bleach. The original version of Jeff the Killer, not the
the original
new
version.
ones.
You got it, dude.
Jeff the Killer was the skateboarder, right? He was
when
like
Jeff gets covered in vodka and bleach and gets set on fire. That's like peak cinema for me. That's peak cinema.
That seems like an average weekend on a Halloween night, I guess, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't die on Halloween, then did you really die?
True.
Mm-hmm.
No, Nina the Killer. That's mine, dude.
Yeah.
The DeviantArt spinoff was my top. No, I have a hard time choosing out favorite ones because I work on a lot of books. I'd say my favorite one I've ever worked on has probably been Tales from the Gas Station. Mostly because Gas Station Jack's the one who writes that one. He's a really great guy. He also runs a Snake Paws podcast that shows up this year. He'll be back again this year for HorrorCon. He almost never tells me no whenever I want to do a character voice in it. He lets me get really wild with character voices. Like I remember I was doing the audiobook for one of them, and there's this character named Travis, and I was like, "Hey, I'm just going to do Larry the Cable Guy for him. Is that okay?" Sure. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna do that one. Cool. And we're like, I'm just gonna do like a Raz from Monsters Inc. for this character. Is that okay?
Yeah, just rename it to Barry the Cable Guy or
Barry the Cable Guy.
Barry the Larry Guy.
Well, he just lets me do it. I think he's only given me like a no on 2 voices because he's like, this is a very important character. He can't sound like that. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'll make him normal. But he lets me do that like really weird stuff, which lets me explore out of my usual, which is just Jeff the Killer voice and things like that. Like, old man voice, Jeff the Killer voice, which is very serious horror stories. But Tales from the Gas Station is like a comedy horror, and it lets me play around so much more, and I do very much appreciate it for what it is.
This is kind of a good segue too, because one of the things that I got to experience at Halloween Horror Nights this year, where usually they have a huge big screen while you're waiting for the haunts that showcases a lot of upcoming trailers and upcoming movies and stuff, as well as the B-class kind of comedy horror flicks that we tend to enjoy from time to time. And some of them that happen to be featured this year, Nosferatu, I think, is coming out in December. That movie's looking so good.
Really?
Apparently, they're making another Saw, another iteration of Scream, and
it's not like Scream. It's not Scream 8. It was just a Scream.
No, I think it's Scream 7.
I think 7 already came out. I think 7 came out last year.
I know. This is going to be Saw 11, which is bonkers.
Oh, it is just the next Saw. That's crazy.
Yeah. or even dare do I even want to even touch this with a 10-foot pole? But Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Oh,
they were making it that.
Oh, I'm excited about it. We love Five Nights at Freddy's in this house.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. I think a lot of people think that, Mr. Creepypasta, Mr. Big Horror Guy is, we want the immediately really spooky stuff. Now, for me, I'm gonna break your heart and say I have never touched Five Nights at Freddy's at all. I don't know the characters. I don't know the lore. I don't know the games. I don't know the movies.
Watch the movie, dude. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. Yeah.
Okay.
I was on a podcast for like movie reviews, and like a bunch of old guys. It was the necronomid.com podcast, And we were like talking about it, and like it becomes very evident about one thing about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which is it's not made for old guys. It's made for kids like Five Nights at Freddy's. Made audience for Five Nights at Freddy's to kids. And I think as a movie for them, it's great. Gave them what they wanted.
Is it just a jump scare thing, or is it like
there's a couple of jump scares in it?
Just featured based on like Chuck E. Cheese lore or something?
No. It's got its own like video game lore, and it loosely follows the video game lore. But like, it's just a movie that's, I'd say it's a fun movie, and like the guys I was on podcasts with, they were saying like how much their kids love the movie, and like that's really it. Which is like, well, even when asking them, did they like the movie? Do they enjoy it? Is like it's a fun thing to watch with their kids, and I think at the end of the day, that's what the intention of the film was. And I think it executes that just fine. It had a really good kill in it at one point, too, to satisfy people that wanted to see those really bloody kills. At one point, Freddy fucking snaps a woman in half, which was wild as hell. And I know that they said in the second movie they really wanted to lean more to the horror aspect of Five Nights at Freddy's, which I'm happy about. So, look, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, I'm hype. I will watch that movie. I will drive up to Austin again to go watch a premiere night of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I'll wear this suit again too.
General, what do you think about do you think that right now for film and horror film, do you think it's a kind of a pinnacle time compared to, let's just say, like 10 years ago with a lot of the horror that's coming out?
From 10 years ago, probably, because a lot of the horror has changed. They've gone from like one gimmick to another, and they're trying to find their foot place again. Because a lot of them before, like a couple of years ago, they were reinventing themselves. Like they were coming back to form and changing. Because like a lot of it, like say Saw had like this whole formula where they were just like torture porn, and then they would turn themselves into more of a, like they try to get back to form when it comes to what was it, Spiral, where they try to get more story and they try to get like a little more, but they still kept with like the gore up, and like things like there's more horror movies coming out, and they're trying to get to that place again where they're like Scream reinventing themselves constantly. Like you haven't seen it because Friday the 13th has been gone for many years now, but they also did a lot of reinventing themselves, and I would say like, yeah, we're at like a different place. It's like, especially as technology goes up, like it leans towards the ability to be more terrifying, to be able to change things. Like not necessarily just CGI, and just be what they're able to do with the budget they have now. Like I think we're getting into a good place. I'm not sure if we're exactly at the best place yet, but we're definitely getting there.
What do you guys think about, like, obviously, yes, a lot of repeating reboots and stuff. I feel like a lot of those, you're expecting some of the old shenanigans from the previous movies. But do you think a lot of these films are leaning more towards gore and, like, more, like, goopy stuff and, like, organs and stuff? Or just creativity kills?
Oh, God. I don't think things rely on gore more. I definitely genre of films that rely on gore, but, like, I don't think, like, horror in general relies on gore that much. This year, honestly, during October, I've been spending a lot of time trying to watch a lot of horror series that I haven't given a chance to. And there's, for the most part, I've actually been like really pleased by everything that I've seen. Watching my way through the Conjuring series, watching my way through the Purge. The only one that I had seen the other day, and I did make like a couple posts on Twitter about it, whereas I watched Terrifier 1 and 2, and that series I feel like is moving more towards gore, because I think a lot of other series are moving away from it. Like Jen had mentioned the Saw series. I'm a big fan of the Saw series. I think there was like this crime drama that overarches it pretty well. I find it really entertaining, and definitely when they went to Jigsaw and then Spiral, there was a return to form where they wanted to become more focused on the crime drama and not super focused on the gore. And they kind of moved away from the gore in a way that I kind of enjoy. I think in Spiral, they moved a bit more towards like that gory aspect, but even then, I feel like it was done well. It wasn't like in the middle of the series where they tried to show you the most gruesome, grotesque thing you could find. These were just like, yeah, they were rough things to see, but they were just very much played to the story. When I watched the Terrifier series, I think that was trying to push the envelope as much as possible about being creative and showing as much gore as you could on screen. I think in the first movie, I definitely saw it, what they wanted to do. I thought it was interesting. The second movie, I just could not go for it anymore. I think they were just, I could see that was just like an attempt to push this boundary as much as they could get away with on film, and I just that one gave me hard ick. But the first one I could see as like, we want to take this in a slasher direction that nobody else takes, and that's cutting out all the fat of like character development, story, things like that. This goes right down to showing you every creative kill that we can do within our 90-minute time slot. And like, as much as it wasn't really my cup of tea, it was still very interesting to see.
So I guess another $1 million question is, as we're continuing on with understanding old horror stuff and, you know, coming up to the new exciting whatevers, do you find that there's a trending path of people that might enjoy it? Or do you think that even in this case, do you think creativity won't beat out gore as far as like favorability in franchises? Or maybe even like understanding stories that you read, you know, do you find it a little bit more, I think it'd be based on everybody's flavor, I guess, right?
I guess. Yeah, it's based on everyone's flavor. I don't know. Horror is so diverse, dude. Like, if you want to, I'd say horror is as more diverse than probably any other genre that we kind of go towards, because like there's so much that goes into like what makes people afraid. There's some people are afraid of some things, some people aren't afraid of others. It's like telling a joke, right? You tell a joke, there's no joke that makes everybody laugh. It's very much a true statement. When it comes down to like horror, there's no one thing you're going to show people that makes everybody feel like that's viable horror. And like there's stuff that goes to its own reach into sci-fi, it goes into its own reach into novelizations, it goes its own reach into fantasy, into realism, into gore, into terror. And like the more that you consume of it, the more you also desensitize yourself to it. So like it's hard to be like, do you see it leaning in one way or the other? Do you see the audience leaning one way or the other? Because like the audience is always going to have different opinions about what they want. If you ever hear like horror fans who talk about like, man, horror is never as good today as it was back then, right? Never good as today as it was in the 70s, as it was in the 80s, as it was in the 90s. It's because like, you know, the more you get into horror, the more you watch of horror, the more you just kind of get used to it. And the more that like you want to get something strong, you want to get something different, you want to get something only down the avenue that I like. So it's a really hard question to answer. Do I see these things going? No, I think there's a diversity when it comes down to horror films. And like we tend to lean towards certain ideas, like in segments. All of a sudden there was a large resurgence in the 2010s of possession films, large resurgence of like haunted house things and things like that. I'd like to imagine right now we're having like a pretty nice renaissance of getting slashers and stuff back. But like, it's really hard to say.
I think it's just a matter of like, because again, going to Halloween Horror Nights and bringing someone who hasn't actually been, he seemed a little disappointed on how many jump scares there were compared to maybe potential goop or smell, sense, visual things, or even like, for example, we were talking about the Ghostbusters IP map, how it wasn't meant to be scary, but it was supposed to be kind of like you're in the movie itself, giving you a sense of discomfort, I guess, that all these creatures are running around. But I think expecting that and knowing those with the haunted attractions compared to seeing some, like, if you're gonna go to a horror film, you already know you're gonna get spooked. You may pee yourself a little bit, or you may drop your popcorn or something. But is it always a safe bet for a jump scare?
I guess I'm a fan of jump scares. I think they go over well. Okay, so there is one thing I'll say, right? Having a variety for everything is always a good thing. Me and Jen got I don't know if we were even into it, but we watched Skinamarink, which if you guys haven't seen it before, it is a movie that's basically just all dread. Like, as much as I would say the Terrifier movie is all gore, Skinamarink is just all dread. Like, all you have the entire film is just a vague feeling of dread for these two children that are trapped inside of this house with a demon. Nothing even really happens.
Yeah. It's just something could happen, and it's just the feeling of, oh, I don't want anything terrible to happen to these two children. And it's like, and that gets worse with the kind of person you are. So, like, say we have friends who are parents. That's horrible for them. That's fucking. They say it's one of the worst movies they've watched because they get that anxiety in real life. They don't want to see that on the film. So it's like, yeah, it's like that kind of experience would be different for each person. Like, I know Skinamarink didn't exactly rate well, but like, yeah, per individual, it did really well. Like,
I'd say, but that feeds into the same thing I'm saying about like variety. Like Skinamarink, as it is, I think it didn't rate well just because it doesn't hit with everybody. Like, yeah, there is dread, like that feels with it, but people who want that Terrifier film aren't gonna like Skinamarink because nothing happens.
Yeah,
like they don't have that level of like, oh, I want these kids to go, and like the more that you rely on a single element, the less of an appeal that you have to the mass of horror fans. And like same thing with Terrifier. Jen's not gonna watch it. I couldn't force him to watch that film, but like it's just like if it had a more of a variety to it, if it tried to rely on more than gore, I think it would be something that probably I could convince Jen to be able to watch. But I don't think it would have the same appeal it has to its hard audience that love it.
We're talking with Mr. CreepyPasta and GeneralDrowned of HorrorCon VR. Of course, that's happening this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Kind of a full event lineup of things you got going on here. You want to talk a little bit about what's happening this weekend?
I'm gonna pull it up. Hang on, Jen. Do you have a?
I was gonna say, I'm pumped. I'm gonna tell you all about it. Let me get it.
I'm gonna pull it. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the schedule real quick, and I can actually talk about what's going on. I know we have a couple of returning acts that are like really great. We have Wellhead Productions, or Old Man Murphy. He's coming back with a couple of his horror-themed
game shows.
His horror-themed game shows. I'll pull open this. Here we go. Yeah, he's got a couple of horror-themed game shows. I know he runs Joker's Wild, and he runs Horror Feud, which I think is pretty cool. And then we have one of our returning ones, which is the tarot reading, which if you guys have never done this in virtual reality before, I think it's one of the cooler things that we bring from outside VR into VR. Madame Macabre and Zodic show up to do tarot readings for anybody who shows up to that panel. Normally we have everybody line up, and you could do like a private reading where you can get your tarot cards read with two practicing witches, which is that's cool. I mean,
it's real cool.
Yeah, I think it's real.
Love it.
Can people find them on the internet? I mean, I don't see unless they're on VRChat all the time.
No, they're not. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if they do that at all online. I don't. Madame Macabre is like a music producer.
I think Zodic might offer that as a service, but I don't know if it's like something that they actively promote.
Yeah.
So, but you could honestly look into it and ask them. They could be interested in it because I know that they offered people readings after the show as well. Yeah. So if there's something like that, like you can absolutely just ask them about it. If you don't happen to get into the panel time, you can just talk to them about it, seeing if you can schedule one later on or try to get it later on to the con or something like that. So.
Show up to HorrorCon if you want to find out more.
That's a good idea. I mean, it's going on all pretty much all weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. We have Skits and Bits as well. Skits and Bits Improv. I think improv has kind of just been like a staple to HorrorCon.
Yes.
We had improv every year.
What kind of what kind of happens during the improv? Is it completely spooky? Is it kind of funny? Is it a little bit all over the place?
It's always been funny. They've always incorporated Halloween themes, but it's always been funny. I think it's always just been impressive. I've never, maybe I've gone to like one improv show in real life ever. But we used to, when we first learned about improv in VR, because we didn't before HorrorCon. It was that improv troupe that doesn't exist anymore at the time. Now Skits and Bits are most of the same members, actually, I think. Skits and Bits, when we first saw them come to HorrorCon, like we got so into that we just started going every week because
Yeah.
it was just so neat to see like a live improv show in virtual reality that just we'd never seen. I think it's probably like if you play VRChat, you probably have like a staple in it, like, oh yeah, I see improv all the time. But like if you don't play it, like that was just amazing. That was such a cool experience to suddenly see pop up. Oh yeah, we have Pasta Spec also. I don't know if anybody else followed Pasta Spec on YouTube, but Pasta Spec has had a lot of creepypasta histories and explanation videos that have been coming up recently, especially for Halloween. And they're doing their own hour-long panel just talking about just creepypastas and origins and histories about creepypasta characters, which is cool. If you want to do like an informative panel, we got that coming up as well.
And now I know last year, not to cut you off there, I know last year you guys did a lot of streaming on Twitch. Is that going to be happening this year too? Yes.
Yeah. Project. This is another thing we could not do without Project. Yeah. Was they have a camera system that is just amazing. I don't even know how it works. I don't think I've ever seen the behind the scenes with the camera system, but I know the camera system is incredible. That makes I don't know, filming in VRChat just feels so
alive,
dynamic.
Immersive,
yeah, alive. Yeah. That's good. It looks amazing, and doing the panels and everything with that filming is just great. So yeah, I know they're bringing their system in as well and being able to do some filming for them. So it will be live on the twitch.tv/HorrorConVR. Mm-hmm. Then we are doing a world hop too. We are doing a world hop of haunted worlds. So for everybody who doesn't normally play VRChat and wants to check out haunted worlds, or if you do play VRChat and want to see what else is new around, definitely come to that one. We have that coming up on Sunday.
Nice.
And the Snake Paws podcast. Snake Paws podcast, always great.
Oh yeah, it's a good time. A lot of fun. And then also on Sunday, we're having Autumn Ivy, a horror game VA Q&A.
Right. Yeah.
So if you ever wanted to get like we were talking about earlier, get into a little bit into horror voice acting, you can hit her up about it, talk to her, ask some questions, get in line, talk to her about it, learn a lot from her experience because she's been in a lot of horror games and she's done a lot of voice acting in general. So it's really good. So it's that'll be on Sunday as well. That'll be at 12 p.m. PST. So go on and check that out. And then later on that day, we also have Mr. Creepypasta's story time.
Hate that guy.
Fucking hate that guy.
So man,
I want to say also about Autumn Ivy.
Sit down and talk again, yeah.
I want to say about Autumn Ivy. Autumn Ivy is all. You guys have heard of a game called The Mortuary's Assistant. She has done voice work for that game. If you ever hear Grandma making creepy noises at you in the dark in that game, that's awesome. She's also the woman locked in the basement, which is fun. And Where Withered Flowers Grow. We're having a showcase of Where Withered Flowers Grow, which I believe is a screening of the short film. So that's really great. That's a VR film, a film that's filmed in VRChat. So it's we did a screening last year too of another horror film. It's just like it's impressive. If you guys have never seen like full on like independent picture done in VR, I mean, like there's these podcasts right here that you guys are watching right now that are really fun. These are really good. We have like some level of cameras here, we got good audio, but doing like a full production in virtual reality, if you haven't seen that, bro, it is something to see.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time when you have HorrorCon VR happening, and then you have a lot of people in your community that want to get together, and I think it would be so thrilling, no pun intended, to have a thriller diller, have some sort of a horror film in VR. I mean, again, you don't have to pay for the latex and you just have the actors and you have the VR. You can make huge avatars that could do the things that you need to get done.
Yeah, I've been pitching this to Jen for years. Okay, we remake Jurassic Park, but instead of dinosaurs, it's giant anime women.
It's true. He has been pitching this for years.
What would the demographic be? Would this just be anime stuff?
Damn, he's the demographic.
You want our producer back there? Yeah.
For me!
Our producer wants in on that. Absolutely.
They know what they want.
Speaking of which, a lot of people in your community, and again, we continue to invite people to go to the HorrorConVR Discord. How does it look in the Discord? Is it just a bunch of like HorrorCon fans? You guys just share horror stuff, and post weird GIFs and videos and stuff?
Yeah, at this point, they just talk about. It's just a group of friends at this point. Everybody shares an interest in horror, and we've watched like horror movies and stuff like that, like in like the Discord. But quite honestly, like nobody's weird. Nobody's like a weird horror guy who's like, yeah, everybody want to see my collection of knives. Like, no, like everybody's pretty normal. They just like have an interest overall when it comes down to horror. They're all monster fuckers, but other than that, they're pretty normal.
Of course, they're also into really large anime women that want to roar like dinosaurs.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they want to genetically modify anime women to be giants. That's correct.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Nothing weird.
Nothing weird.
Nothing weird.
Nothing weird.
I will say one thing about them that's always pretty cool is like we have channels in there for people to share artwork that they do and cosplays that they do and things like that. And everybody has, pretty nerdy interests. This is just like I don't know anybody on the internet this day who doesn't have somewhat nerdy interests with things. And that's really cool to be able to see, like guys taking photographs. There's like people sharing photos of like their wedding and things like that in there, because it's just a community of people that kind of just enjoy being together and making friends with people who are interested in doing horror, creating horror, being a part of like horror things together. So
kind of reminds me a lot about the people that go to haunted maps or haunted worlds and not haunted worlds, haunted houses. And again, you have stuff like Hollow Scream at Busch Gardens or even Halloween Horror Nights, or we were talking about Knott's Berry Farm with Spooky Snoopy. I can't say that correctly at all either. I can't talk about fanged up Snoopy.
Please, Snoopy is a saint. Why would you attack that poor man?
Yeah, but if he's a vampire, isn't he going to come and suck your blood or something?
Let's look, they're Halloween costumes. You think a kid that comes asking for candy, you're like, is a zombie. We have to take him out before he gets to the next house, before he gets to the neighbors.
I mean, they do that. You don't have to ask that question, dude. They're gonna do that. Like they're gonna bite you regardless. Yeah, if you don't give them candy, they're gonna bite you.
Trick or treat. Trick or treat.
Is biting you a trick?
That's like the neighbor going up to the mom and being like, "Your son or daughter bit you for Halloween," and they're like, "Yeah, what's the problem? That was supposed to happen."
Well, did you give him candy? No.
All right,
there you go. Deserve that. Okay.
What do you want from me?
Now, I know, as again, we continue to circle back to VRCDJLIVE. One of the things that for both of you guys, so you have a better understanding, is since 2022, our community has just literally exploded, full of DJs, producers, world creators. It even got to a point where, like, while we have tons of clubs featured on different genres, there are a ton of other people that get inspired and make their own stuff. So while some groups die, some groups come to life, some groups have been around forever. And watching that has been so great and so positive, and understanding horror and stuff can be pretty positive too, even if we're talking about stabbing people and blood and guts and all that junk. But as far as like understanding and developing how we can recreate that and showcase it to the world compared to what Twitch is giving us for VR chat and what people are expecting from VR chat. Do you find that the horror community could reach out to people that have never experienced VR and try to get them even more involved? I know it seems like it's such a very vast question, because obviously the sky's the limit when it comes to VR chat, but where do you guys see VR chat and horror in the next couple of years?
Man, I could say like horror like exists forever. There's like there's never a time I feel like that like the horror genre is not interesting to somebody at some point. Like if anybody comes into any new form of media, then the idea of how can I make it scary always kind of shows up in their mind. Because I mean, like this is for anything. Like somebody invented a way to make rides, right? You're like, oh yeah, you could get inside of a little car and go around this sequence. And they're like, how do we make it scary? We'll make it go real fast and go real high. Cool. We'll call it a roller coaster. You know, like that making something thrilling is just like always a big point. Even when I think we first got into virtual reality, right? One of the first things we do in virtual reality, we found a horror game. And I don't think that's something that's unique just to us. I think that's to everybody. You find that, what was it called? Sisters? It was like the little dolls, the two little dolls in a room. And this was like what you could wear back when the headset was cardboard. And like, it was just an experience to have. You can go on YouTube right now, find YouTube channels just dedicated to horror, dedicated to virtual reality horror, dedicated to those kinds of things. It is just, I don't know. When it comes down to the VRChat, as long as VRChat exists, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be horror creators in VRChat. And as long as VRChat exists, there's going to be an audience for those kinds of worlds. And HorrorCon, I mean, like, just helps both of those people find each other.
Couldn't have said it better yourself, right, General?
Yep, you got it. Honestly, like I was said before, like be able to pull people in from the outside, to VRChat, like it works. Like it still work too. Like the people that we brought in love VRChat and kept coming back to it and still want to get it. And like you said, like even the older people like us old, got into wanting to get headsets as well. So I feel like these newer horror experiences can draw different crowds, and like absolutely it can still pull more people into VR. So it can still expand the audience. Like we still have that avenue. Absolutely.
Now, I know coming up this Saturday night, again, not to completely promote myself too, but there's going to be the HorrorCon VR Rave, and that's kind of a really big deal too, just because it's been going around for a little while. Obviously, Creepy's doing a fantastic job putting together this event, showcasing a lot of the DJs that play some harder music. Do you find a lot of people that come to the rave, do you find they go to the rave mostly because it is kind of just a spooky rave, or it could be like their Halloween night out, or maybe even filter in some of the more hardcore music?
Honestly, yeah. There's like such a wide variety of them. I know like that making it their Halloween night out is what I see the most. People go there to be able to dance, to hear hard music, and to be able to just have a spooky time with their friends. Also, what I think is really cool is that like, at least in our community, and I probably like, this is just a big VRChat thing, seeing people like who generally make their own avatars, create their own Halloween costumes. And whenever they do wear their Halloween costumes, they wear it for HorrorCon, but like, especially at the HorrorCon Rave, we see everybody dressed up and like, this is my avatar for my Halloween costume. I'm Ash from Army of Darkness this year, or something like that. It's really cool to see. Like even we last year we did an Angel and Devil thing for HorrorCon. We were there at the rave in those avatars.
Now, are you finding that project community are kind of also engaging with the rave? Are they the ones setting up the world for that? Is there a dedicated world for it, or how did that kind of work out?
No, Creepy is like 100%. Like when it comes out of the rave, like that is just Creepy.
Yeah.
100%. Like Project is absolutely involved with almost every aspect of HorrorCon. The only exception being the rave, I want to say. They do the posters for all of our advertising outside of it. They do the videos and stuff. They do the world creation at this point. We just kind of have some creative points and things we want to make sure is included so that it hits well with our community. But everything with the rave, going down to picking out DJs, to getting the world, to getting the tip menu and everything set up for the DJs, that's all Creepy.
Mm-hmm. I hope you guys are
amazing.
Oh, I mean, for real. I mean, not only the fact that Creepy's been hella busy and kind of going back and forth from Japan doing stuff and just trying to really make a name for herself, as well as the agency that she was representing, and just being able to give us another avenue of amazingness. And for me, it's gonna be a little bit more challenging because, as you said before, I'm not gonna be up there playing like spooky Hall & Oates which maybe I should, because that sounds like a really fun thing.
Come on, be
Maybe
cool.
it's just like a really like low. You're out of touch. I'm out of like
time.
Don't
Let's go.
don't get me super motivated on that, but just that too. Like again, this is a very perfect time, and I hope you guys get a good idea of the fact that this rave is going to be sitting amongst a lot of other popular things that DJs have been kind of focusing on for the past couple of years. And people are going to come here and see these top-notch talent and really be motivated, not only in the DJ scene and the rave scene, but in HorrorCon VR as well. So definitely kudos to you guys for continuously setting that stuff up year after year.
That's a kudos to Creepy. Without her, we would not have it.
Absolutely.
I mean
like,
yeah. We don't know DJs enough. She's the one with her hand in.
This is Creepy's baby, basically. Like this would never have happened without her. Like like so I said, we don't know DJs. I barely know music myself. So like, if she wasn't the one forwarding this, like I would have no idea what to do. Who am I gonna ask? What, am I just gonna go into a public world and be like, hey, you DJ?
I mean, honestly, too, we get to a point where you do a pop-up and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, a pop-up! I'm gonna be there. I want to see it. Mr. CreepyPasta is there, and Creepy's there, and all these horror things are gonna be there." But leading forward, listen. This guy over here with the orange jacket says that this is his Halloween outfit. What are you guys dressing up for Halloween this year?
Oh God, we didn't do anything.
I mean, technically, you still have 48 hours. I mean, or yeah, about 48 hours, you could.
I still have
whip
to do
up
stuff
something
for my channel. I can't do that. Yeah, we'll have something.
Isn't it enough that I have my own avatar? I didn't have this for the last few years. I only got this year.
Yeah, you could have glowing eyes. You could have had some like I don't know, red horns, I guess.
Yo, change out the mask. Put on a scream mask.
Okay, well, we did actually have an idea originally because I you probably don't remember because I pitched this when we started doing the field work for HorrorCon when I started pitching ideas for it, which was 4 months ago ish. Because usually I'll have an idea of like, hey, if we're gonna do this kind of thing, maybe we can see about commissioning avatars about something like this. And it's like, I'm GeneralDrowned, and this year's theme is shipwreck horror and the sea and ocean. We could have had something that was like, I like drenched and drowned, like my textures change and stuff like that. He'll be like a captain with the captain hat and stuff like that. Like that was the original idea that we had.
No, hear me out, okay? You go as a boat, I go as the oars.
What?
Uh-huh.
Who's driving the boat?
So we just like ambush people. All of a sudden they're in a boat.
Oh, okay, I got you. Hold on. Screen space shader. They get in, they as soon as they sit in screen space shader, bro. You just tell them, bro.
Seems like one of those like couples outfits for Halloween. You could be the peanut butter, you be the jelly, you be putting it together. I don't know. There's not enough of that here, so you probably should. By the by, I guess you guys did summon Creepy. Creepy's in chat, so I don't know if you want to say hi. Creepy's finally made it into VRCDJ.
What time is it in Japan right now?
Yeah, honestly.
Jesus.
What are you doing awake? Also, did you get that Mimikyu?
Oh, save me some melon soda.
Oh, you can't travel with that.
Oh, what? You could ship it.
Oh, okay.
I love melon soda so much. You were sending me photos of like beer mugs, like just filled with green melon soda. Oh, so good.
Oh, apparently it is almost noon in Japan.
Oh.
I don't get anything from Creepy. Creepy, send me something. Send me. Lun's been wanting me to go to Japan and do stuff for VCAT, so this is going to be the time to learn, I guess, right?
Yeah, you got to learn Japanese.
I'm going to have to.
You just need to know like the basics, from my understanding. It's a lot of like, can I get this, or can I do this, or can I pay with credit card or cash? Apparently, it's a lot of places are cash. Really? It's just apparently it's like a lot of like outside of like the main city like Tokyo and like all those places, like you want to have like cash on hand. But from my understanding, is like you just need to know enough. They'll appreciate the effort. Like again, if you speak a little bit of English, we'll appreciate the effort and be able to figure out what you're saying. Like as long as you try, that's usually what it is. Trying.
Yeah.
Speaking a little bit about how Lun was in here, Lun was actually just mentioning to us that that summertime is usually the time in Japan for much horror in Japan. Do you guys tend to kind of look at that stuff too?
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that at all.
I just know summer sucks over there because it's hella hot. It's like fucking because you walk
Summer
everywhere.
sucks over here.
Yeah, but you walk everywhere there. You can't really drive too many. So it's like you're just drenched in heat, and then you're just walking every single place.
I guess ultimately we don't really think too much about the different Halloween horror stuff around the different countries too. Like I always keep forgetting that around Christmas time it's usually colder here in the States, but in like Australia it's like summertime and they're swimming and stuff. But at the same time, I don't know what horror in Australia looks like either.
Being in Australia is horror in Australia. You've seen spiders
just living in Australia is horror enough, right? Holy moly! Speaking about horrors and stuff, we do have a little bit of extra time here on VRCDJ Live. If anybody in the chat wants to ask Mr. Creepypasta or GeneralDrowned any questions about anything spooky, anything coming up for the convention that they got coming up this weekend, or even asking stuff about the rave, now is a very important time to ask, especially for those people that want to come into the convention. How does one get involved in your convention and helping out, or even wanting to learn more about networking through your convention?
The number one thing to do is to join the Discord. So if you're in the Discord, that is how you're going to get all of your tags and everything on the days whenever like things are going to go live on Twitch, whenever the world is going to open, all that jazz. Also, you could be able to join the VR chat group. Like you see, I'm pretty sure I have it up here.
We can't see your banners.
Okay. Yeah. You join the VR chat group, which is HorrorConVR, which is
horror.4016.
Horror.4016. If you want to be able to get that, same thing. It'll send you notifications and stuff whenever the instances open for HorrorCon, and I think you also get notifications whenever instances open up for the panels as well.
Yes.
So that would be the best way to do it. If you want to attend, that is how to attend HorrorCon. It is free.
Absolutely free, but if you want to get involved in, let's say, networking or helping when building worlds and all that stuff, you want to hit up Project Community. Project Community not only does HorrorCon, they do a lot of other things. They do Project Lens. They have that was their film film festival that they had like a few months ago. They have a lot of other stuff that go on. VRCon. They work with VCAT as well, I believe. So if you
don't do a VRCon anymore, it is just Project Community now.
Yeah, that's right.
Project Community. Yeah.
It's straight Project Community. So if you want to get more involved in the helping side, you want to hit up Project Community. They'll be able to help you with all that stuff. Be able to get you more familiar with being able to help what goes beyond and behind the creation of worlds, having to set things up. A lot of volunteer stuff. So like, check Project Community out. They're absolutely wonderful, and again, wouldn't have existed without them.
It's true. Yeah, we would have been dead in the water after HorrorCon 3, but now we're at HorrorCon 5. It's our 5-year anniversary.
Five.
Well, wait till next year.
Community group.
Yeah, wait till next year. Then you have 6, and then you could do that with the 666 thing.
Oh, true. I say, if you guys would like to join Project Community as well, it is PJKT.3741. That is their group in VRChat.
Have you guys ever? I'm always very curious because I feel like, with the what's it called, with the installation of deviant art and Newgrounds and just some like public forums where anybody can post whatever they want to post. Have you guys ever considered making your own horror stories and what your ultimate horror story could be?
I mean, like, I've written stuff before.
And it doesn't have to be serious too. Like, let's just say you want to make some weird comedic horror You know, like Zombievers, for example, is a kind of just like who sat down to think about that.
I don't know. I've written some stuff before. It was all serious. The horror that I used to write was serious. I didn't take much from that point. I mean, like, for Megabyte Games, we've had ideas for horror stuff. Honestly, we wanted to do another horror game this month. Ran out of time. Both of us have been busy with everything.
Yeah, it's October. Like, on top of, like, I have a full-time job. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on outside of that. Like, we try to make as much time as we can. Like, it, especially for him, where he's like recording every day. It's with his channel. Like, this is a major month for him. On top of doing HorrorCon, which again, if Project Committee wasn't here, we just couldn't do it because full-time job and also full-time job with even more pressure because he's doing it to himself. So
what are you talking about? There's no pressure. What are you talking about? The only restrictions I put are those that I put on myself.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like this is the month, you know, this is the time to kind of enjoy it and do whatever. But I guess that leads me to my next big thing is, if you were going to take any specific holiday or month and turn it into a spooky horror thing, what like, do you think Thanksgiving horror is good? Christmas horror is good? Easter horror? Arbor Day? The death of trees?
The death of trees. Yeah, The Happening.
True.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
There's an actual thing for that?
You ever watched the movie?
I
You
have
ever seen
not.
Happening? That's real. It's not great.
Yeah, The Happening was a movie about it's a movie about trees rebelling against people and making us kill ourselves.
Uh, Look, sometimes you gotta just try something. Like, sometimes that's just what horror is, trying something. Like, honestly, like, I would try. I don't feel like enough things try things in summer, so like I feel like a summer horror would be great. The only one who used to do summer horror was Friday the 13th, but you know,
True,
that's long gone, and it was also a slasher movie. But it can absolutely branch out. Like, we could, like, topics of horror can absolutely expand it. I would love to see more summer horror. I would love to see more any horror that's daytime related too, because like, just because it's dark doesn't mean it's necessarily scary. It can just happen anywhere. Like,
well, give us some better examples about summertime horror. I mean, I know a lot of us, we're always thinking about, first lovers, summertime love at the beach, girl meets guy, and then the guy dies and she runs or something. Huh?
So I
Valentine, what was it? The Valentine's Day Massacre, those kinds of movies.
Mm-hmm.
The Purge was, I swear to God, The Purge is basically like 4th of July horror movie.
I don't remember if this was summer necessarily, and I'm pretty sure this is the name of it. Do you know the movie called Funny Games?
God, yeah.
It's a very horrible experience movie where basically it's a bunch of kids that meet up on the beach, and then these other kids came and kind of started hanging out with them, more or less, and then a bunch of these 3 other kids in the beach were monsters. Like, they're crazy people. They end up torturing animals, people, and things, and it all takes place after like a beach experience. So it's just within the beach, within like a small cabin, and it just happens within that area. So it's just like, you can have horror in these locales. Just because something's nice, essentially, it doesn't mean the people or the things that can happen there are nice. A lot of psychological horror will end up being a place where you're supposed to be comfortable. Like, again, like Skinnery, you're in your own house, but something's going on. You don't know what it is, and it's a thing of dread that's happening in your house. It can absolutely happen. Like, you can do it. It just needs to be workshopped. Like, needs more creativity.
I would want something better than Halloween, where Michael Myers is just always watching. And he's just standing around with his knife. I feel like anybody could be doing that.
Yeah, you would want to try a little hard on that. Like, just get something. Like, you can have creatures, you can have serial killers, you can have just the threat of yourself. Because like, there's a movie we watched recently called I Saw the TV Glow. And that was a very sad horror movie, It's just this guy is going through it. He meets a girl, becomes really close friends with them. They connect through a TV show together, and then stuff just gets fucked up because she tries running away. She goes disappearing for a long time. I mean, I'm spoiled this movie. It's a good movie.
Maybe your opinion. I didn't like that movie at all.
You didn't like it?
It was weird. It's just
that's the point of it, though. It was supposed to be, especially
it
the
was
way
too avant-garde for my taste.
Okay, yeah, I guess it was a lot like very esoteric when it came down to it. But like, I think with the idea of not knowing exactly what's going on, because like I remember when we were watching it, I was like, oh, so that's what's happening. Oh my god, I can't believe she's doing that to him. It's like, that's not what's happening.
That's not what's happening. Yeah,
that's not what's happening. Oh god, it was way worse. So
okay, I guess it was way worse.
yeah, yeah. It was. So like stuff like that. Like you can work on it. Like horror can be what you make of it.
Yeah, horror. Well, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah. And I mean, I know for me, I really love the campy stuff. I really love the comedic stuff, like stuff that is so ridiculous and out there and so obnoxious. Like I can't take screaming in someone's ear. Jump scares are okay, but like, you know, like you gutting a fish and then the fish coming back to gut you is just like clap it out. Like that's so good.
Yeah, dude, told you that fishing horror game.
Yeah. Originally, for everyone that's in chat, we were going to do this stream. What was it called? Web fishing or
web fishing?
Yeah, web fishing apparently is a very popular game right now. So there's nothing scary about that. What's so scary about that?
Not everything has to be scary.
Sometimes you just want to go fishing with the boys.
Sometimes we just want to go fishing.
Imagine the three of us, but we're all little animals with fishing rods.
But one of us has to die. And because you guys are friends, that means I'm going to be the one that dies.
Who's to say?
Well, this might actually be the last VRCDJLIVE ever, so thank you guys. No. Before we take off here, and again, we'll rattle off some more of the stuff coming up this weekend for HorrorCon VR. What is your opinion on sexy costumes?
What's not to love?
It's not. I mean, I keep going back to it's not scary, but apparently it doesn't have to be.
Does not have to be.
Could it be?
Why does it have to be scary?
Could be
both.
Could be scary for me wanting to be horny.
Yeah, dude. Hey, look, what's so bad about a sexy costume? Look, you have a man just dressed it up in a banana hammock. Is that fine? Is that's nobody else's business. This is.
That's not scary. Chat, that's not scary for you.
Oh, that'd be scary for you. What do you have to be afraid of?
Having a banana
hammock.
Banana
is hammocked.
Getting closer to
banana is hammocked.
But like even going to like you would still think that a sexy Halloween costume, because again a lot of people are like, oh, they didn't put a lot of thought into it. You're not really scaring anybody, and it's not any sort of. You're just having fun.
Cares, dude. Yeah, that's at the end of the day. That's what you want to do, right? You want to have fun.
Yeah, that's what really like Halloween turned into. Anyway, it's like they're having fun. That's fine. Like we have fun in our way. Like if we want to be scared, that's our kind of fun.
Yeah,
so they're having fun by being sexy.
That's so scary that they're so sexy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What is your top 3 Halloween films?
Oh God,
I know these are the important questions.
Oh God.
No particular order either.
I do love. Oh God, you said Halloween. Trick or Treat is definitely up there for me. Trick or Treat, yeah.
Oop.
And then, God, I don't. Oh my God, there's a movie that I watched. I don't even know if I made you watch it yet. It's called Hubie Halloween.
Yeah,
it's on Netflix. It is an Adam Sandler movie.
Oh, I saw a preview of that. I haven't watched that at all.
I do need to show it to you. That's actually a movie that, because my wife loves it. So that's a movie that I think we've watched every October since I first showed it to her. And it's a really funny movie. It's not a horror. People die, so I mean, it's close.
It's Adam Sandler and people die. Is he the one to kill him?
No.
Oh, damn.
Not to spoil it for you, but no, he's not. But Shaquille O'Neal's in it.
Perfect.
I'll show you the movie.
Okay.
That's one of those big Halloween movies. I know Halloween. one that usually like my family we end up watching.
You know what? Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus is good too. If you've seen the sequel,
I hear it's not very good.
it's not.
I haven't watched it, but I hear it's not very good.
It's not very good. No, no Hocus Pocus is a good choice. Yeah.
Yeah, Hocus Pocus is. I think I watched it almost every year, either by choice or because it's on the television. You know, it's like
That's totally fair. Yeah.
yeah.
Always play it
Same thing
once a
with-
year.
Same thing with Charlie Brown. Like you
Oh,
see Charlie
Great
Brown
Pumpkin.
every year. Yeah, same
Yeah.
thing. Like
It's
one
like
of those-
in Christmas when what is it? A Christmas,
A Christmas
story.
Story,
Shows up?
yeah.
yeah. You can't avoid it. It's gonna
it's
show
like,
up.
well, shit, I might as well. It's on. Like I can kill a couple hours. Watch a kid get his eye shot out.
And gosh, don't even get me started with the whole is Nightmare Before Christmas a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie.
I cannot stand that movie anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. Is it just because of just the over merchandising or just?
It's just yes. No, I don't know. Like I just get shown that movie, shown that clip, shown everything about that so often that I can't stand it. I don't even get me started about the Corpse Bride, dude.
But you'll have those people though. You'll have those people that are just like between those two and Frankenweenie. They're all connected.
I don't know about that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But
No. you haven't heard about that either, huh?
no, I haven't heard
get
about
outta
that.
here.
I've never
Well-
seen Frankenweenie, so
You're
haven't seen
gonna.
that.
We'll talk about it after stream. That's for sure.
So-
It'll blow your mind, Mr. Disney Man. So
look. All I'm saying is like I don't care for Tim Burton. Tim Burton hasn't done anything good since Edward Scissorhands, dude.
wasn't he the same guy that did Beetlejuice?
Yeah, he directed Beetlejuice.
And what happened with that?
It's okay.
Oh, I know I haven't seen it yet, but
It's okay. Like, if the movie would have been just fine without Beetlejuice in it, which I feel like is kind of like
That's a little
misses
sorry.
the point of it. Yeah, Beetlejuice is great in it, sure, but I don't think he really needed to be in it. The antagonist they put in it was kind of just put there so that Beetlejuice could be in this movie.
all right. Well, I mean, definitely something I got to look forward to, but
I'm not going to spoil it, but yeah.
that'd be good because I want to see it. But before we get on out of here, again, we're with Mr. CreepyPasta. We're here with GeneralDrowned for HorrorCon VR. Tell us how people can get to HorrorCon VR this year. I know we already kind of talked about it. Where can people find you? Find you both on the internet and all those socials and stuff.
You can find HorrorCon VR. The best way to go to the Discord. I think it's showing up on stream, or you could join the HorrorCon group, which is horror.4016 in VRChat. If you want to find me, Mr. CreepyPasta, you can find that name anywhere on Spotify or on YouTube. If you want to find Jen,
GeneralDrowned, same spell, one word, GeneralDrowned, Twitch.tv, Twitter, Blue Sky, all the same, GeneralDrowned. And if you want to check out our game dev, it's Megabytes. It's actually at itch.io. Mr. CreepyPasta. That's where all our games are being uploaded. So if you want to check that out, we have the 3 games there. And
for
check
now,
out Midnight.
until the 4th one comes out.
Will be coming out.
Mm,
Should be coming out.
should be. Once it's done testing, it'll come out.
It'll be coming. There's a game coming out soon. Whether or not it's gonna be out before Halloween, I don't know.
We'll find out.
And of course, we'll find you guys all weekend, right? I can't expect you guys to be on all weekend, but we'll be able to find you somewhere during the convention, no?
We will be on
Absolutely,
the entire time. Like at least I absolutely will be. I will be in the world monitoring,
Monitoring.
reading,
Marine.
marinating.
Marinating in his
All
own
the
soup
M's.
with his headset on. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you guys for coming by and kind of just sitting down and shooting the shit with us for a little bit.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to be here, dude. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
And that's gonna wrap things up for us at VRC DJ Live. Of course, for those people that have known, we've got nothing going on next Thursday because it's Halloween. So we're taking Halloween off to go do spooky stuff and eat our candies and stuff. We'll have a complete lineup for you for November. Coming up very soon in November, we are actually going to be having a nice theming of DJ groups. So a lot of the DJs that have their groups being showcased are going to come in and talk about how you can join their groups, and if you're a DJ yourself that want to be a part of it. But again, please come on into VRChat this weekend for HorrorCon VR. Of course, the HorrorCon VR Rave happening on Saturday night, and there's a whole lineup of us DJs performing. It's gonna be a great time. So until then, say goodbye, guys.
Goodbye, guys.
Bye.
And we'll see you guys on the other side. How about that?